This is the February 7th, 2022 meeting of the Merrimack Conservation Commission. We have a member of the public, but that's not here for public comment. Sir, you're Kirk Ware, right? Okay. We have no public hearings and no appointments, so I think we'll start with Kirk. So we didn't put Kirk on the agenda. He is interested in enjoying the Horse Hill Nature Preserve. We had already invited him. It was a clerical error that we left him off tonight. So what we figured we would do is we'll just meet him tonight, and then we'll put him on the agenda for March 7th and go ahead and vote at that time. Just so if we're gonna, like Paul said last week, if we're gonna vote it, it should be on the agenda. But there's no harm in meeting. And Kirk, if you would, sir, just come up and state your name and address for the record, and just give us a short story why you're interested.
Okay, great. My name is Kirk Ware. I live at 5 Townsend Place in Merrimack, and I've always loved spending time in the outdoors, in the woods, hiking, snowshoeing, tracking. So when we moved to Merrimack recently, we were in Massachusetts for 40 years, and I very quickly went looking for where were the good places to hike, and the first top of my list was Horse Hill. And we went over there and have since gone back quite a few times and just enjoyed being on the trails, and just very impressed with how well they're marked and the bridges, and it's just beautiful habitat and wetlands and so forth. And I happened to bump into Mark Gagnon's wife one day and got into a conversation, and she said there were openings, and so she said, why don't you apply? And so I'm here. I have a couple of things that I've done in my past. I sat on a number of different boards in the town that we came from, one of which was the purpose of which was to put together a master plan of the biggest conservation piece of property that the town had ever bought. And it's kind of, I'll pass it around. It's got some interesting visuals and stuff, and these are some of the appendices and the lists of what they found when they went looking to see, you know, what there were for birds and wildlife and what was growing on the property. And I'll send a few more things around. It's kind of a big report, but it was a fun thing to be involved with, a great study. We also brought the public into a couple of forums to try to understand how people wanted to see the property used, and which was primarily for passive recreation, very much like Horse Hill, you know, hiking, dog walking, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, all those kinds of things, passive types of recreation. And we also studied the wildlife that were there. It just happened that I have a friend who is a world-class tracker. They bring her in to track the Florida panther and to find out how many there are and where they are, and you know what habitat needs to be protected. They brought her into New Mexico to track the mountain lions down there for the same reasons and stuff. And because she's a friend, she came and looked at this piece of property with us and found things that we did not expect to find on the property. We found otter, which were unusual because we didn't think the water was clean enough for, she didn't think it would, you know, she wasn't, it has to be pristine really to get the otter. We also had fisher, and when we were out tracking one day, she discovered, she said she saw this row of boulders and immediately said, gray fox. And sure enough, we walk, you know, 50 yards over to it. There is the tracks of the gray fox, and she has us on her hands and knees in front of this boulder, blowing on it in the winter, you know, to warm up the boulder so we could smell the marking of the gray fox. And then we followed the track, and she said, well, normally we don't go in the same direction they're going because we don't want them to waste any energy. We track, you know, backwards. But I want to show you one thing, because this gray fox will go to a lookout and will stop, and their prints will be imprinted at this lookout. Sure enough, you know, maybe 100 yards away on the top of a little ridge, there they were. And you could see that's where this gray fox had, you know, hunted the night before. And so anyways, so we had some really interesting experiences doing that. One other committee I was on the main purpose of it was to look at the publicly owned properties and to try to find things that would help the town meet its future needs on those properties. But one of the other side issues we had was to look at a lot of the larger properties in town to set our priorities of potential properties that we might want to acquire for open space, and to try to find if there were landowners, which there often are, that are interested in, that have owned the land for a long period of time and really would like to preserve it. And so we came up with, talking to a lot of different people, a lot of larger organizations that are in the conservation field, came up with a list of ideas on how to preserve land without simply buying it. Things like conservation easements and limited developments and so forth. And so, again, it was just an interesting thing to learn about those things. And we later on actually used quite a few of the ideas in order to acquire property without spending, huge amounts of money. And so it was a productive search for ideas, and good to get to know some of these other organizations that will help you out in acquiring properties, because towns often cannot act as quickly as a private buyer to buy property, and so you have to kind of find an edge. You have to find someone that'll help you, fund it right off the bat or whatever. So anyway, so that's some of the stuff that's in my background, but mainly I just, love the open space. I'm very impressed with Horse Hill. Would love to be, a part of keeping it up. You folks seem to be doing a great job of it. I've also, based on people's recommendations, I found Greater Woods, which is absolutely glorious. I love it over there. Greens Pond, Wasserman Park, so I'm pretty much trying to find every trail there is, and we've been down to Wildcat Falls and so forth, and it's just, we're just loving being here, so that's why I'm here. I guess I'd like to give something back.
That's fantastic. Ellen?
Mark Gagnon, who's the head of the Horse Hill Subcommittee, can't be here tonight, but I know that he's enthusiastically recommending that Kirk join the subcommittee. And while I understand the confirmation is going to be, vote will be next time, we're going to have a subcommittee meeting on the 22nd of this month. I expect Kirk will be involved in that, but Mark is aware of Kirk's interest and looks forward to working with him.
Well, thank you, Ellen. And thanks to whoever recruited you.
Yeah.
And thank you for your interest.
It's quite a
Happy to be here.
resume you have there, Kirk, for conservation and stuff. It's wonderful.
That master plan is amazing.
It was fun to, we had experts obviously doing a lot of the real, nuts and bolts work, but it was just fun to work with people that really know what they're doing, and to put something together, and then to get the public input and to match up that with what we were doing. And the beauty of that particular property is right in the middle of the town, and it's close to other open space. And so one of our real goals was to try to keep open and create corridors for the wildlife to go from this place to that place to that place, in order to that connective habitat that allows them to range around and us to live alongside them, with them being able to, maintain themselves and still be there, which is, to me, it's just surprising, always surprising to see the amount of wildlife that's there all around us, not that far away. I mean, every once in a while now you'll see the turkeys on the road and stuff, but to see, gray fox or bobcats or whatever around, your own neighborhood, it's amazing, really.
Sure is. Mike, did you have something?
Can we have a copy of that plan at some point?
This one here?
Yeah,
The master plan?
I certainly would find it useful.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's.
Is that online somewhere?
It probably is. But this is like the final draft. As the chair, this is the last copy that I ended up having. But I'm guessing they've got them online. So I'm not sure. It's done in, I think it was '07. And I would guess if you probably went on the town's website, it's got to be there. It was such an important piece of property in the town.
What's the name of the property?
It's called East Boston Camps because the people that owned it before us ran a camp for inner city kids that would come out of East Boston. There was a social services organization in East Boston, and to hear the stories of these kids that would never be in the woods, ever in their lives, coming out and spending a week. I mean, it was, it was like life-changing. And we had people that actually came back, you know, that were now adults, and saying, you know, talking about, you know, how it affected them to have had the opportunity to do that. But what happened was they didn't have enough of those kids coming, so they were going to sell it. And because they were a social services organization, they didn't want it to be developed,
Right.
but they wanted to get paid. They had to get paid what it's worth because they're, you know, they had to get market value. So it took us a while to figure out how to finance it over time and all. But the town was just really, really supportive, just because of what a incredible. The pond in the middle of it is absolutely pristine. I mean, it's drinking water quality. And so, like, we wouldn't allow boats in from outside, and, you know, we were very protective of the property. But anyways, it's a lot of.
We're thrilled to, thank you for coming tonight. We're
Yeah,
thrilled to have you.
This is the things you spoke, sorry, I should know better. The things you spoke about, I mean, that's exactly what we started, when I started. We've been, and we're still now, still pursuing and looking at properties, tries to make greenways between the different properties, because there's 1,600 acres in town, but it's a little bit fragmented, so we want to try to.
I saw that. I got, in one of the studies, I went online, it looked like that. There are a lot of little pieces around, and it's hard to figure out how to connect them. We were lucky in a way that it just happened that certain landowners that were strategic, you know, were willing to work with us. And
You know, we have some good inroads with those people
yeah.
in town. You know, that you know, they're, as long as they don't want to mark their property, so they're bound by some federal laws for keeping their space open, and they're allowing people to traverse it. So it's we've got private property that is now considered part of a greenway. So
Yeah, and you just have to respect their, you know, as long as you work along with whatever their, you know, concerns are. It's amazing how generous people are willing to be.
Good. Well, we look forward to voting you in.
Well, I do
It
too.
was nice to meet you, and I,
Thank you so
again, I
much.
Thank you for
apologize.
coming
Thank you for your time.
Clerical error.
Oh, this has been great. Nice
Safe
to meet you
travels
all.
home.
Yeah.
Let's see, that brings us to, an administrative note too. You sat in as a voting member last time, right? I usually have a sheet where I keep track. Mike, would you sit in as a voting member for Eric tonight?
And if your friend comes back, we'd love to go out with you.
Oh, yeah.
If your friend comes
Tracking.
back to visit, we'd love to go with you walking around the trails.
It is absolutely stunning, the sign that she sees. The thing, I mean, things that you would just walk by and she'll see like little scratching and it'll be certain trees. There's only like certain trees that they will mark, and she can tell you by smell what animal it was.
Wow.
It's just absolutely, you know, she says, smell this, it smells like this, and you're like, it does.
Yeah. Does she ever go, human?
Yeah, I wanna go for a walk with her.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. That's awesome.
All right, it brings us to number 5, statutory advisory business, of which we have none tonight. We also don't have any new business. Old business. Probably not a lot to add here. It's more of a housekeeping note with this, because we did talk about it last month. But
Thank you so much.
Dave, you want to tell us about the duck boxes?
The duck boxes are excellent. I have gone full circle now with the duck boxes, from understanding an idea of them to going out there and pulling an egg out of one. So it was a good time. We had a nice time with Steve and Michael and myself. We went out there, and Mike led us very well.
Didn't get
You know,
lost.
from box to box, and he was good with the talk, and he showed us a lot of the different structures that are around, the platforms that were made by the scouts and all that type of stuff. So it was very informative. I learned a lot, and it was just a great thing to do, you know. And it's like I say, do it next year. I'll go next year, you know. But it was a fun time. It was a worthwhile event, and it was for me, it was an educational event. So I enjoyed it more for that purpose.
I think the wood ducks had a high success ratio last year too, because we found a lot of hatched eggs, but not a lot of frozen, not hatched eggs.
Yeah.
I think we only found one frozen.
Yeah, there were a couple in the middle pond. I think somebody got to it the week before that we did and took the eggs out. Yeah, people walk up to those duck boxes all the time and see footprints, people checking them out. Yeah, and on the ice.
And we found 6?
Yeah.
Was that our goal?
6 duck
That's what-
boxes, yeah.
Yeah.
And do we need some, do we have a team going out to do Horse Hill?
Yeah, I'm gonna see, Mike, see if we can go this weekend. Maybe if someone wants to go, we'll keep in contact with you.
Hmm? Yeah, if there's no other takers.
Do what? You look like you wanted to go.
You want to go? Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind, Gage, shoot me a note when you're gonna go. I think I'd.
Don't complain about me walking too fast, though.
Oh, you did walk off.
Right.
This.
I
You were pretty quick too.
Got a good gait.
The only other item is the Winter Carnival, which is, I don't have the date, but
I have it.
Gina requested a table. What other information do we need? The supplies for the Winter Carnival are,
We normally have 2 people that go. So right now, Mike Druin has offered to go. Does anybody else want to go?
If I'm free, I'll go. Just gonna check. Boss's calendar. Okay.
yeah,
The table will be set up outside.
Okay, outside,
Yeah?
oh, it is outside.
It's outside.
Oh, jeez.
we don't rate.
Everybody's outside because of COVID.
Oh,
Yeah, nobody's inside.
Okay. Yeah. It's so insane.
If you go to the storage room at Town Hall, there is a duck box. I'll make sure it's in an obvious place. At some point, there'll be some maps. And then just set your table up and
Whatever, duck
Talk
box
about-
and maps?
the duck box maps. you know.
trail maps.
Yep.
I think that's generally what the interest is centered around. People just not aware of the parcels, not aware of how to get to one, where to park, how to access one, how to find Scalar, those
Mhm.
sorts of things.
Mhm.
If I'm available, I'd be happy to join them too. It's during school vacation. It's always a tricky one for me to get to.
Check the
Yeah.
fishing games, you need some of those tracking cards and stuff.
Huh, I don't think they'll give those out.
No?
They'll want one of their members there to keep guard on them.
Yeah.
No, they've given us stuff before.
Especially with scouts.
The footprint
They give us tons of
cards, they
stuff.
gave us a whole bunch of footprint cards.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I mean, something like that, you need some giveaways, draw them to the table.
Yeah, the little kids like that, so they wanna go outside and
Right.
look
Find something.
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
backyard.
good. Keep a couple phone
Now, is
calls.
this under an easy app or just a table in a field?
Table in the field with hopefully a gentle breeze to keep the mosquitoes away.
Hopefully they shovel.
I think that's it for old business under other business. Oh, did I skip
Did-
some?
No, did we get confirmation that they purchased the seedlings?
I
No.
did not.
Okay. Cause I mean, we sent it in, and they were
Yeah.
looking for the last meeting, I just can't remember if we got an email confirmation back from when they were purchased.
I did not. We got confirmation that she'd requested the check, right?
Didn't you
pretty
sign, I
sure.
thought you had to sign it.
I did.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure we got that confirmation.
Well, if you
but
signed it, then they probably bought it.
I
'Cause it
can
wouldn't-
check.
It wouldn't do any good to have the check and not send it.
Mm.
Yeah, I can check. See. All right. Did anyone have any subcommittee updates?
Well, those trees are still there.
They're on the
I
list.
found more trees,
Mhm.
so
Lori said they're on the list. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, they're dealing with a little
Yeah.
other, some other things
Yeah.
right now, I think. That's what they're-
Mhm.
someone plowed the whole road twice.
Wow.
Don't know who. And Flying Eagles have their permissions. Pretty broad, in my opinion. That's all.
I didn't see that meeting. Do you know?
I didn't watch the
town
meeting.
council? And do you know, the town council, what kind of permission did they grant for the trees for the cutting for the eagles, flying eagles, you know?
I mean, they granted the permission for the area that they were looking at. However, there's stipulation that they either have to get insurance that indemnifies the town, or they have to hire a professional service to go do it.
That area includes a notch, right?
Includes which notch?
No, that's ours.
Yeah, the notch on the south side that belongs to the Conservation Commission, the town council didn't do anything about that.
It's cut anyway.
Just the town property is what they gave them permission to.
So for everything they were asking for, or, yeah,
Up to the road.
wow.
Yeah. Well, we can plant some nice bushes.
Anything else from the subcommittees?
Wednesday is the Greater Woods Subcommittee meeting. This coming Wednesday.
Where's that, Gage? Here?
Yeah, downstairs, the community
We have a
building, conference room.
Yep.
Actually, I think we're actually meeting in here. It's here or the community
downstairs.
development conference room. I forget which one it's gonna be.
I think that brings us to presentation of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Merrimack Conservation Commission meeting minutes dated January 24th, 2022, with changes as follows.
Second.
Motion by Gina, second by Cindy.
I have no changes. We proofed them when they first came out, so. Well, what usually happens is Stephanie sends them to Stephen and me, and, so I proof them, and then I get back to her with any changes that I see right then and there, and then she fixes them so that when she sends them.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
I only had like, procedural, I guess, like under, on page 1, like say row 40, under appointments, I think normally we list what, the actual agenda item. So it would be, looking at the right one here, appointment, so, list Nicole Morning Christians Subcommittee. It just doesn't list like,
Oh, right.
we normally list that so that, and then you go down to see.
Because she was an appointment. Well, yeah, we voted her in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good catch.
There you go. And, let's see what else, 277. And then in page 7, row 277. Was just kind of the same thing, like just to list, exactly as we listed it in the agenda, like update unproposed, and then, list the commentary under that.
What page and line was that?
Yeah, page 7, row 277.
277. All right, and what did you want to put on it?
To list, as we listed it on the agenda.
The titles that are listed in the agenda are typically listed in the minutes.
Okay.
And then the discussion is recorded after.
Okay, I'll make sure she gets that.
Anything else? Anyone? All right. So we'll vote to approve the minutes. All in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in favor. 0 opposed. Motion carries. There are no members of the public here for public comment. We might as well do commissioner comments. I don't know where we started. Mike, anything?
Well, in the middle of the room. So I saw this really nice bird today. I don't know what it was. Kind of looked like a falcon of sorts, but my phone Zoom couldn't see it because of the depressing lighting of New Hampshire.
You saw an eagle, right, too?
Yeah,
Yeah, you were talking about a scalar today, too?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, maybe I'll come with a proposal for some simple binoculars. That's it.
Dave, anything?
No, I've been down the park, everything seems to be quiet, freezing up nicely, and like I said, somebody's been down to, I think what it is the person who plows the parking lot for the plane place, maybe carries it all the way down and through.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's a nice gesture that they're
Mhm.
doing something like that.
It's not them.
Huh?
It's not them.
Oh, it's
I
not
asked.
them?
I asked.
Okay. Well, it's some good citizen then.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of, it was kind of interesting because we're talking about tracks and stuff, looked like some bobcat and things like that down there, especially down like the northern end of the river. It's kind of cool seeing that after the fresh snow. And of course, after the fresh snow, there are fresh tire tracks, you know? Like, ugh, you little, you know? But it's just, it's something, they usually head up, then turn around and come back because there's no place else for them to go,
Mhm.
you know? But if we put a rock there, it will stop them, you know? But other than that, everything's peachy down there.
Good.
All set?
Anything? I have nothing.
Nothing?
Anything? Okay. No? All right. So with that, I will make a motion that the commission, by roll call vote, go into a non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, in parentheses D, consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property, which, if discussed in public, would likely benefit a party or parties whose interests are adverse to those of the general community. And by roll call vote.
You need a second? I will second.
Oh, yes, sorry. Motion by me, second by Gina. Roll call vote. Mike?
Yes?
Gage?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Yes.
Mike Druin? Gina?
Oh, yes.
And I'm a yes also. So motion carries 7-0. I guess we should make sure we're
Private session.
not on Merrimack